So this empowerment, and before I give the empowerment, it's part of the lineage that, or part of the ceremony that I give some introductions. Even though you already might know that, but I'm going to give that introduction. Now, generally, this again, to receive the empowerment, as always said, to strengthen, reactivate our motivations. Because we have motivation, there's so many different motivations, but something motivation that lined up according to teaching, according to practices. That is what we have to activate it. Midst of the millions of the motivations or consumption of thought, we bring up something that important and beneficial to ourselves, and it will bring the power of our practice in meditation. So therefore, motivation is so important, and which is, again, many of you already heard so many times, and I say it almost every day. So every day I'm talking the same thing. So you know already, but I'm going to repeat that again, and obviously you're not bored with that. No, he's talking again that. So, but that is joy and appreciation. I think it's good stuff. Really good. We have joy and appreciation. I think our life is a little more meaningful, more rich. And then together with that, we devote each other. That is so, again, important, is the foundation, central column of our practice and meditation of the general Buddha teaching, particularly the Mahayana and the Vajrayana teaching. So thinking, today I'm going to receive empowerment in order to benefit for all living beings. I'd like to get enlightenment within this lifetime. Part of the skillful means of the Vajrayana teaching, I'd like to actualize my enlightenment within this lifetime, and I like through that I'm going to benefit for every living being. And really having those intention thought, even in short time, it is a dharma, it is a practice. We activate something tremendous hidden power from our depths of the potentials. We bring up that, which is really wonderful. And then, together with this empowerment, is Vajrayana teaching and the skillful means of teaching that Buddha taught. Great teacher Buddha taught. So again, seeing everything as mandalas. Mandala of the Guru Padmasambhava, the all universe and everything as mandala of the Guru Padmasambhava, all including our forms, and all sound systems are the speaking mandala of the Guru Padmasambhava, and all the mind, our mind, everyone's mind, and the space is mandala of the Guru Padmasambhava wisdoms. That is absolutely Guru Padmasambhava is our innate nature, your innate nature. We are expanding, we are let that radiate, call it, to every directions, subject and object. Those are known as activating the motivations. With that motivation, and then we can now go a little bit introduction of these teachings. This teaching again is taught by the gracious, kindness, compassion, skillful means teacher, the Buddha Shakyamuni, who came to Terton about 600 years ago, or some chronologists even before, more than that. But whatever the standard kind of time, this everyone says is about 2,600 years ago. Came. This gracious teacher, Buddha gave from age 35 until age 81, the variety of teachings that everyone has opportunity to discover their innate nature. Buddha's teaching is not teaching that something that you have to go somewhere and to be something, different beings. This Buddha's teaching is to bring our innate nature, to discover our own nature. Buddha nature is open teaching said, nature is right in our heart center, right with our mind, to discover that nature. And Buddha gives variety of teachings according to the readiness, capabilities of the individuals. He gives the teachings. Those are all teachings are known as the Nyingma teachings. Now different levels of teachings. These levels are not just a designed level, but it is when you're advancing, then you're reaching, you discover that another dimension of the call it the richness of our nature. When you more advanced, you discover that more and more, and Buddha is kind of matching up, catching up with our levels, our degrees, and our capabilities. And there is a teaching to usher in that to the correct path, so that we don't just fell down on ditch or the detours. It's really to bring up that. And it all is the same goal, to removing our obscurations, negative emotions, bring the more joy, appreciation, love, and compassion, and the openness, calmness, peacefulness. Then see really what we're talking, three mandalas. When you really got good realization, this is not just the talking and the conception level, intellectual level, but you really see everything as a three mandala status. Whether form, whether sound, or whether mind, or mandala of the form mandala, Buddha mandala, and the sound of the speech mandalas, and what's the mind mandala. That really sees that. So then that's what Buddha gives variety of teaching. And then particularly the Vajrayana teaching is known as the skillful means of teachings. Generally Buddha's teaching is based on the compassion and wisdom combined together. But the Vajrayana teaching has more skillful means teachings. So that skillful means what? Is like easy and quick to reach enlightenment or to discover our inner nature, to discover our own true beings, or enlightenment, call it beings, the wakefulness of the quality of the enlightenment, that really will instant to. So all teachings are designed with that. And Vajrayana is so, according to teaching, is so powerful. Powerful. If you have the courage and commitment and confidence and joyful effort to the virtues, if you have that, we can reach enlightenment. Really, within this lifetime, even if we didn't get enlightenment, we will make the difference, truly difference. You can feel that is really true. Even we practice and meditate, for example, for 1 hour, 2 hours, quite good with devotion and joy and appreciation, concentrated. After 1 hour, we see some kind of like, let us feel something a little bit slightly different. Really we see. Then again, of course, due to the midst of the duality and the emotion, habit, it kind of dimmed up again, covered up. But that is, we have to do on and on practice. Therefore, also there is common saying, the practice makes perfect. Practice brings the perfect, gradually, slowly. But our nature is pure. Our nature is beautiful. Our nature is enlightened according to teaching. So really will it bring, getting closer and closer to discover full bloom of the reality of the true nature of the enlightenment as it is. As really many practitioners witnesses. So among that, today there are so many skillful means of teaching the Vajrayana, but among that, this today is empowerment. Empowerment is one of the very powerful skill means of teachings. Again, I talk this a little bit with this, so I'm going to talk a little bit brief introduction of the empowerment, but also first I talk a little bit about the Guru Padmasambhava. Today you are receiving the empowerment of Guru Padmasambhava, and then again, who taught these teachings. Already said, and already you know that a little bit, but Buddha taught these teachings. Spiritual teacher, Buddha taught many different levels of teaching, particularly this Vajrayana teaching, what we do following is the inner Tantra teaching. Inner Tantra has 3 Tantras, Mahayoga Tantra, Anuyoga Tantra, Ati Yoga Tantra, and this teaching, today what we are going to offer empowerment is the combination of the 3 Tantras, 3 inner Tantra, Mahayoga, Anuyoga, and Ati Yoga teachings. All that combined together and then as practices. So that is really what it is. And then this teaching is of course continued in India, and then in many different countries, and then it came to Tibet in the 8th centuries by great Master Guru Padmasambhava and then great Master Shechen by the invitation or courage and commitment of the King Tsasum. He invited those great masters. 3 of them come together and established Tibetan Buddhism. What we call it Tibetan Buddhism is full body of the Buddhism from the foundation schools of Buddhist teaching such as Theravada or the Sarva Isbad schools all the way to the Ati Yoga. The whole body of the Buddhism really came to Tibet, and not just came the literature aspect, but the realization also came because they practiced and meditated, actualized the realization, not just left that intellectual level and kind of like as a stimulation for the brain. It's not just that. But really, they practiced and meditated, and they become a teaching themselves. And those are then known as the 25 disciples from Guru Padmasambhava and Great Master Ajahn Shendarajat and so forth. From that, the starting point, and all those great masters of all the schools of Tibet Buddhism maintained this great teaching with studying, contemplating, and practicing, cooperating together with humble, simple, drawn to the earth, and discovering the light from the heart and shining that to the other beings. Really, always guided that. That is what really the teaching is. So came to Tibet. And particularly this empowerment teaching, it came to Tibet by this lineage system, highlighted by the Great Master Guru Padmasambhava. He gave first time to 9 students in the cave of the Sami monastery, on the mountain of the Sami monastery. It's called Sami Chipi Cave. Guru Padmasambhava did not give this teaching in the palace, not in the public places. He gave in the hermitage cave 9 students. Those first 9 students who received the teaching, they are named as 9 heart students. That included Khenpo himself. That received. So that's how the empowerment is a continuity. And then this is the continuity. Then these teachings are, according to Nyingma school, that teaching is a continuity carried by 2 lineages, 2 major lineages. Those are known as the Kama and the Terma, whenever you know Kama. Kama is the oral transmission lineage that started from the Buddhas and the Guru Padmasambhava, or particularly those great masters, and then in the Tibet and all the masters continually as oral transmission and instruction and pit instruction that continually carried, and that's called Kama. In the Tibet word Kama, oral, that. And the Terma means hidden and rediscovered the lineages. Hidden by who? Majority Terma teachings are hidden by the Guru Padmasambhava, together with the great wisdom dakini, Pema enlightened beings, known as the Yeshe Tsogyal. They both hidden so many teachings, so many treasures. I mean treasures such as ritual objects, such as these bells and the dorjes, damarus, personal belongings of the Guru Padmasambhava himself, Yeshe Tsogyal, Khenpo, or even the Buddhas and the great masters from India, those personal belongings, they had that and hidden that for the thinking of the future generations, along with the teaching itself. So many teachings. Those all modern teachings are related with the inner tantras, Mahayoga Tantra, Anuyoga Tantra, and Ati Yoga Tantra, discovered continually. And one after another great designated master, the revelers came from around the 11th centuries until now. So many great masters really came, authentic masters came. Those are known as the Tertons, many of you know, discovered one after another those great teachings, those ritual objects, those great treasures as object of venerations. Those that are, or mainly is a kind of hidden, those teachings that represented particularly Buddha's or the enlightenment poem, enlightenment speech, enlightenment minds. Poem represented such as the statues, many different variety of statues of the Buddha, Guru Padmasambhava himself, all Vajrayogini, Vajradharas, so for the statues, so many, those mainly represented as the personal body of the Buddhas, object of veneration. Those are the personal belongings of the Guru Padmasambhava, all other great masters, all other different dakini realms, all the celestial realms, both those celestial sacred objects, and they hidden that. And the speech representative of all the Buddha's hidden is teachings. There's so many teachings, one after another. Those are all is connected to the mostly three inner tantras. Mahayoga, Anuyoga, Ati Yoga teaching. And those are also more emphasized. Skillful means the aspect of the teaching. Wisdom means the aspect of the teachings. Union of the skillful means the wisdom aspect of the teachings. Really, variety of teachings hidden, discovered one after another, those teachings. And that is continually carried out now, that lineages. And particularly today, I am offering you the involvement, many of you all know, Guru Vidyadhara. This Guru Vidyadhara is the Pema teaching of the great Terton, Tsasum Lingpa, who came around 17th century or around that time. 17th or 18th century, around that time he came. He was the emanation of the Nupchi Sangye Yeshe. And his Nupchi Sangye Yeshe is dated back to the 8th century. One of the hard disciples of Guru Padmasambhava. Particularly Nupchi Sangye Yeshe was the yogi or the master siddha of the Manjushri and Yamentakas. Really very famous. So he was so famous. He was a Ngapa, lay practitioner. Very highly achieved enlightened yogi beings and scholars. He was a disciple of Guru Padmasambhava and Master Shechen and as well as others. And he practiced. Nupchi Sangye became also one of the principal lineage order of the Nyingma Kamas. Always Nyingma Kama said that how the Nyingma Kama continued. First, of course, was came from the great masters such as Guru Padmasambhava and Master Shechen and Mataras. But then, who hold those teachings? First, he received these teachings. Sorry, there was something here. Little bit badly. It's okay. And what's his name? So first is a famous master known as Yang Jana Kumara. Very famous. Yang Jana Kumara, when he showed the realization of there had contrast in it, made his story said those great masters had contrast in front of Guru Padmasambhava, Acharya Shendarachata, and the Bhavana Mantarasi. So they showed what the achievement, the science, and in Jana Kumara, put the finger or the dagger on the rock, and immediately spring water came, fountain of water came. So that was his power. Power in the teaching always said Jana Kumara discovered the nectar from the Rocky Mountains. Discovered that. So that is Jana Kumara. He was also one of the nine heart select students, and particularly he is really known as the actualized the quality of the enlightenment. Buddhas, all the quality aspect of the enlightenment, such as Vajrayana or Yangda Heruka's teachings, that he is the master of the Yangda Heruka among the eight Herukas, among the eight Herukas. And then that teaching, river of that teaching came to the Kama teaching, then transferred to the Nupchi Sangye Yeshe. So Nupchi Sangye Yeshe became the second Kama lineage, the entire teaching of the Kama lineage order. Along with it, Nupchi Sangye Yeshe was the founder of the Anuyoga teachings in the Tibet. Nupchi Sangye Yeshe brought the really according to the teaching, he brought this Anuyoga teaching to Tibet. He went travel to all over India and many other parts of the countries, the neighboring countries, and received the Anuyoga teaching and brought back to Tibet. So he was the founder of the Anuyoga teachings together with that. And so Nupchi Sangye Yeshe also here, when they had contest of that, what the contest of their realization to show sign externally, what he did. He through this called, he put that wooden dagger on solid rocks, and that is very renowned that he put that. But so that's what sign. And Nupchi Sangye Yeshe emanated so many great masters or scholars, masters who uphold Buddha teaching by meditating and practicing, and through literature things, so many great scholars emanated, as well as many Tertons. So among that, one of the great emanations of Terton was Tsasum Lingpa. So Tsasum Lingpa is a renowned emanation of the Nupchi Sanji Yeshis. And this teaching is very rooted in where I was born, in the eastern Tibet, known as Dongyal regions. There is a monastery also known as a Gochi monastery who practices these Tsasum Lingpa lineage teachings. Practice one of the really principal or kind of central lineage holders of these Tsasum Lingpa teachings. And when I was young, I also received kind of naturally I was so connected to that teaching because the parents like their kindness, and then I had the opportunity to receive so many Tsasum Lingpa teachings when I was young, and that time also there is a very well-known lineage holder of this Tsasum Lingpa lineage known as Lama Nyingma or Kada Lama Nyingma. So from him I received entirely Tsasum Lingpa teachings, transmission, empowerment, and a transmission, along with the Khenpo Rinpoche. And then after that, also I received this teaching of the Tsasum Lingpa teaching, and particularly this empowerment, many times from Khenpo Rinpoche. And then also in his in 1982, I believe, no, not 82, 84, and Tsasum Lingpa, all the Tsasum Khenpo Rinpoche made big effort of trying to gather all the Tsasum Lingpa teaching that time what we can find, and he published about 11 volumes, all the 9 able to conduct that, and that was not just only Tsasum Lingpa teaching. Tsasum Lingpa is more than that teachings, but he able to collected that teachings, and then so that time we had the whole copy of that in the New York City, where his own Dongyal Rinpoche Center, Yeshe Tsogyal, where we stayed and served as a residential teacher there for a few years, or many years actually, stayed there. And that time, Khenpo Rinpoche brought all the texts to his own Dongyal Rinpoche, asked give the empowerment of the text empowerment, or the empowerment, or book empowerment, text empowerment. That is very popular in Tibet. Because since his own Dongyal Rinpoche is a region of the Guru Padmasambhava, and therefore he also holds the Tsasum Lingpa lineage too. So therefore, Khenpo Rinpoche asked him, please give us empowerment with this text empowerment. Of course, he can't give everything. This takes a long time. And his own Dongyal Rinpoche very kind of excitedly accepted, yes, I will do. Really, he said that. And then we both stayed in front of that text, and then we received that also blessings from his own Dongyal Rinpoche. So this is all what the real history of the lineage teaching. So I also practice these teachings. So that's really in that way I'm offering you the empowerment. Now I talk briefly about the empowerment.